buddies? My name is Don Banano, your host today. Mabuhay. Welcome to CETV Exclusives. It's another Sunday morning with you, and today's a special is another episode where last week we have a guest. We have a girl group. This time we have another girl. This time she's based in New York. Not just based in New York, but in fact, she is a Filipina who studies up in a master's degree. Wow, master's degree. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Pixie Labrador.
Hello, everyone. I'm so happy to be here. Thank you all for tuning in. Hi, Dom.
Hi, Pixie. And first of all, let me ask: are you related to Pinky Labrador?
I am not, but I can see why you would think that.
Oh, I think it's Pinky Amador, but hey, it happens. But do you have a Labrador in your house too?
I do not, but my cousin does.
Oh, I wish he was here though. It does make sense though that Labradors, Pixie Labrador, and all that. Anyway, right now, in case you're wondering, buddies, she is currently based in New York City, one of the city that never sleeps, home to Times Square, all those wonderful places that make New York famous, and that pizza. Let's just admit it, the New York pizza is good.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
So let me ask this question first. How are you adjusting to the culture of New York City? How's it different than our culture?
Yeah, first of all, the diversity. I mean, it was a culture shock, I guess, like seeing all these different people from so many parts of the world just being here in one place. And especially with the program at Berkeley, I got to not only meet, but also collaborate with a lot of people. And, with the music that my classmates have been making, I also got to know a bit of their story and in turn like a bit of their culture as well. So I think the diversity was the biggest thing. And also I would say like the amount of small talk people do here. It's really interesting because with the way I present myself, like with my fashion choices and all my bold accessories and things, and oh, especially my hair and my tattoos, like that's a big giveaway to how I present myself physically and visually. But more often than I would expect, actually, when I walk down the street, so many strangers would kind of go out of their way to like stop me and be like, excuse me, I love your hair, or I love your tattoos. Like it's really cool, and it's such an honor to be complimented in that way from all these different strangers. And you would think it doesn't really matter because we don't know these people, but it's really high praise, like really high compliments that people would go out of their way to kind of you know, uh, compliment me in that way, I guess.
Yes, indeed. I hope you understand the point that it boosts our confidence to when we get hear these types of compliments. When if they say that, "Oy, maganda ka," or something like that, that
Mm.
you get a confidence boost for that.
Oh yeah,
Now,
definitely.
so what has been the toughest part about moving from the Philippines to New York City?
I think it was the fact that I was alone. I mean, I don't have any family here. And so having to kind of like figure out living on my own and being in like a really tiny apartment, things like knowing how to kind of budget my money because this is truly one of the most expensive cities in the world. Most especially navigating the subway was really difficult at first. There's so many like different lines, and sometimes people can be rude. It's interesting because one of the things I learned here was to really kind of be in your own bubble. And contrasting to what I said about people will go out of their way to give you compliments. On the opposite side of that, there are people who, I've been exposed to like harassment from strangers as well. And a lot of the times we really I have to learn how to like not take these things kind of personally when people are just randomly kind of shouting on the street and things like that. I really learned how to kind of protect myself and like put myself in that sort of bubble as well.
Yes, it's pretty much hurtful to see many people calling names, especially in public. It's a no-no. If this is
Yeah, it's that was another thing that was shocking to me, like the amount of people that kind of just like scream out whatever they feel on the streets. That's something I learned here that's different from back home. I feel like, people kind of keep to themselves, but here it's like people aren't afraid to really express themselves, even if it's some extreme negative emotions. They don't mind just kind of like shouting those things into the void.
yes, yes, indeed. Oh, you mentioned about the subway, right?
Oh yeah.
How's it different than the MRT that is so it's let's just put it let's just say it in Tagalog na lang para maintindihan mo. If that's all right.
Yeah, yeah.
It's sobrang masiksik as they say in our country naman. Ang siksik
Yeah.
talaga doon sa MRT. Let's just put it at
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Is it way
Uh,
different in the subways over there in the New York City?
Honestly, there are a lot of like mixed reviews on the subway at New York City. So far, I've had like okay experiences. Of course, there will always be outlier moments where like there'll be some weird liquids on the floor, or like, people are like just yelling and they're total strangers. Other than that, on the opposite end of that spectrum, there are a lot of people who love to entertain on the New York subway. So we have people like break dancing and like doing pull-ups on the rails, or like singing in several different languages and playing guitar and harmonica and just all these different things. So it's really a wide range of experiences on the subway.
So the MRT, I don't think we have those busking, as you might call it. If I'm not
Yeah, yeah.
mistaken. Busk. We don't. I don't think there's such thing as that in the MRT, if I recall correctly.
Yeah, I don't think it's as common in the Philippines, if none at all. But in New York, it really is common. If you're lucky and you get on a cart, and you'll have like an entertainer just kind of being happy to play for everyone.
Yes, definitely, because it depends on the system. I don't know if there's a law about that. I hope that will change too about busking in MRTs. I don't know if there's a law for that.
Hmm.
Anyway, how do you find the balance between studying for your master's degree and making music? How do you find the balance between the two?
I think there's not much really to balance, which is like a total blessing because music is what I want to do, is what I am doing for my career. And at the same time, it's what I'm studying. And so, literally, for my thesis project, it's basically like a whole new record. And that's something that I really want to release under my own artist project in the future. So, my music life and my life as a student, they really kind of interlock together. And yeah, I'm super grateful that that has become my life so far in the past year.
So if you plan to take up go to college in the US, take up music, and if you are passionate about music, take up a music course because there's no imperfect balance actually for that. It's just you just need to find the right balance between what you love or and what is it? Between what you love and what you really want, you're dreaming of. I think that's the best advice I can give to you. What about you? What's your advice to those who plan to study in college in a master's degree or something? Any course for
Mm.
that matter.
Yeah, I think it's like you mentioned. I mean, I just really want to reiterate is to find something like that balance between what you love to do and something that you want to sustain you, like financially, income wise, but also emotionally. And if that can like if you can find that one thing that fulfills those two things, like emotional fulfillment, something that you love that like fills your soul, but also can sustain you and can keep sustaining your craft, then I feel like that's what you should go for.
Yes. Right. As you can see, let me tell you a little story before we move on to this. My course is actually BSHRM, and I was not
Mm.
happy with my course. Let me admit it to the
Mm.
entire world. I was never happy with my BSHRM course. The truth for that matter is, oh, I don't want to say it, but the truth for that, I I was I was looking for a course kasi at the time that for a school, I dropped out the college for a prestigious university for one semester, and then I was looking for courses that could help me with my career in my college life, and I found the alma mater I had for the rest of my college life, and look at me now. I graduated just in time before all this nonsense known as the pandemic happened. It's just
Mm.
yeah, it's so crazy. Thank goodness we lived it's over. I was I was so lucky to live to graduate before the pandemic.
Oh
Oh,
yeah. That's definitely a blessing because I had to do my last year of undergrad in like the height of the pandemic. I finished my undergrad degree in 2021. So literally my last year of undergrad, it was just purely online.
everything
So
is virtual, like graduations,
yeah.
ceremonies. Ah,
Yeah.
it's so you know what they say, iba talaga kapag live.
That's very true. Yeah. And another thing that, we were really missing when the pandemic happened was live performances. Like I really missed doing live performances. And when I would be invited to events, puro na lang like, can you record a video? And it's like, I was really happy to do that because I wanted to perform either way. But iba talaga pag live and you get to see like the audience's reactions and, be in that immersive space with everybody else. It's really different.
Yes, I agree because I had to experience a lot of virtual press conferences in the
Mm.
pandemic. Though I might appear in a press conference soon. Let's just put it at that. I haven't been one in a while, but I hope someday some event organizers or some people might invite us to do event coverages. Well, some press conference coverages. Well, you can simply
Mm.
put it at that. All right. Being a member of the LGBTQIA plus community, by the way, belated happy Pride to all the members over there.
Happy Pride, yes.
So, how do you plan to spread the message of love and equality to your listeners?
Well, I feel like this is something that I do already, pretty much daily with the music that I write. And yeah, representation is so important to me. And I do that in my music by, writing these very real stories of love and heartbreak through the lens of a queer person of color such as myself. And there aren't a lot of those in the music scene, most especially in Asian countries, most especially in the Philippines. And so I hope that through the music that I have now and through the music that I hope to release in the future, that I can keep spreading that message of equality and representation and kind of bringing queer Asian music and art to a global scale.
Yes, indeed, because they deserve the support too for all the in the LGBTQIA plus. They're rocking it right now, especially with those drag shows. Wow, that's all I can say. Right,
Oh, yes. Yeah, I recently
RuPaul.
saw all the stories and the videos of people during the Philippines recently had their Pride March, right?
Yes, in Quezon City, that Beanie was supposed to perform, but unfortunately, the rain fell on
Oh, the
them,
rain.
and
Yeah,
it
but
might
I
affect
think
their sound system.
oh, I see. But I feel like it was such a great event nonetheless. I mean, I
Yes,
saw all the
indeed.
photos and the videos. It looked amazing and I wish I was there. But fortunately, I would be marching alongside a couple friends on the Pride March here in New York. So, yeah.
Yes, you have marched it when the time we aired it. I hope the weather will be kinder than what we have here in QC.
Oh
Hopefully.
yeah, summer is definitely hitting. It's been quite hot. So I think the weather will be fine.
Great, great, great. Anyway, so now there's a word that I was not familiar at first, but thank you, Google.
Mhm.
I learned this new word already, sapism. But can you explain to our viewers, in your own words, in your own definition, what does sapism mean to you?
Sapphism, or maybe I guess sapphic, is basically what I would say, is another term for lesbianism and for women loving other women. And it's what I identify as. I also identify as a sapphic, and I feel like this is also kind of my primary audience, are sapphics as well.
Yes, yes. So, with the rise of sapism in popular culture, like you're familiar with those boys love series, right? Where boys love each making love with each other. Let's just put it at that.
Mm-hmm.
Nowadays, we also see in Thailand, especially in Thailand, there are girls
Mm-hmm.
love series as well too.
Hmm.
Do you think that sapism will go mainstream, or does it have a long way to go before reaching its mainstream status?
I think sapphism is reaching like mainstream levels right now. Not only with, the queer TV shows like you mentioned with Boy Love or Girl Love, but also especially with music right now. I mean, I don't know if you're familiar with Chapel Roan, but she is I the last time I checked, I think she's the number like 200 something most streamed artist on Spotify at the moment. And she is sapphic. She is a lesbian. And apart from her, we also have Renee Rapp, who is also queer, is a woman lover, and she's also kind of rising to the top. And I think that is really, really exciting for the queer community and most especially for the sapphic community. Because I feel like when we think of queer love, I feel like most people kind of focus on on the gay aspect of it, like boy love. And so, as a sapphic, I'm really grateful that, these artists are kind of making their way to the top as well to also represent the women who love other women.
Yes. We all love want we all love here want love for everyone, no matter what your sexual orientation is. That's what oh no, I get emotional again, just like last week. Ah, as someone who's not yet fully aware of my sexuality, let me admit it to the whole
Mhm.
universe. I'm not fully aware of my sexuality yet. I'm
Mm,
just not yet ready to come out of the shell. Let's
mm.
just put it at that. Anyway, so in case you haven't heard the news already, Thailand became the first country in Southeast Asia to legalize same sex marriage. Now, considering you are in the Philippines and it is part of Southeast Asia, do you think in the near future the Philippines will follow suit? Why or why not?
I think, you know, I I think there's always like something that needs to be improved upon. Like we're always working towards something, I feel. And we have been working on like this law to legalize same-sex marriage for a really, really long time. Like longer than we would have hoped to happen. But this thing with Thailand legalizing same-sex marriage, it's huge. And, I'm really hoping that our leaders, the future leaders of Southeast Asia and the Philippines, will recognize how significant that is. And maybe, it'll finally get to their heads like that, like, yes, this is a thing that we can do and that needs to be done. Yeah, because the love is love movement is just so important. And I think we are working towards that, maybe even faster than before. So I recently saw that toothpaste ad. I forgot like which city or street it was, but
Somewhere in
when
ends, I suppose.
mm, yeah, but when I saw that, I got extremely emotional. And there were two huge billboards showcasing love is love, and two boys getting closer. And yeah, that was really an emotional experience for me, and I think we're in a good place to keep that going.
We want to live in a world where love is for all, but it's a long way to go, but we're getting there. It may seem like a fairy tale, but we'll get there eventually.
Mm.
So now I heard that you mentioned about your most streamed song, You Are, which
Mm.
happened to have over 13 million streams on Spotify. Good job on you for that.
Thank you so much.
So can you tell us the creative process behind it and how did it go about?
Sure. So basically it was a song. It started out as a song that I wrote for my collaborative partner. And you know, it 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 stuck with her so much that eventually, instead of making it like a solo project, like just me singing it, we decided to write it as a duet. And at the time, we had no idea that this was going to be as big as it became, but it did. And so this was a really special project for me because it was also one of my first collaborative projects, because I used to just always write for myself, and now I had someone kind of doing this with me. And so it was a lot
You
of back and
are
forth.
sunshine
Like, for example,
a few
I
drops of
did
rain
the
you
guitar
feel
and
so
she did the
close
piano.
even though
And it
you're
was
far
all just really
away
fun,
you
like
are
bouncing
warmth
ideas
in
off of each other.
December and you glow
And
just like
it's really
May.
great
You're
to,
so
it's interesting
beautiful to
how
me
like an
and it
idea
drives me
in the beginning
insane. You are
is one thing, and then by the end it's like something completely different, but at the same time it's become so much bigger than we had ever expected. So that's great.
Yes, yes. I hope it is quite remarkable to see the song reach over 13 million streams. I'm not sure if it was played on radio though.
I think it was actually like during maybe the first 1 or 2 years of its release, I would get messages from friends, like them kind of videoing like a clip of the song like on the radio, and they would message me like, "Oh my God, you want this on the radio." And I actually caught it once myself. I was at my cousin's house and we were just like hanging around outside, and then biglang narinig ko yung boses ko and I'm like, "Oh my gosh." And apparently it was playing from the radio of the guardhouse nearby. And yeah, that was like such a humbling moment for me. It's crazy that it's kind of gone that far out.
And do you remember what was the station? If you remember?
Oh no, I wish I did, but yeah, I never really bothered to ask. I should have though, but yeah. Either way, I was just grateful to have it, played out in the world.
For sure, it could be either of those English speaking stations right now.
Hmm.
Shout out to
Could
them.
be. Could be a possibility, yeah.
Maybe it could be RX. I'm not sure because Indie Ground, remember that?
Mm.
Did you have any plans of submitting to Indie Ground at the time when it was played?
Honestly, no. I never like I mentioned, I never thought it would be that big. And so I didn't really have plans that kind of reached out that far. And it's crazy how, they just happened to me and I didn't really necessarily have to like work as hard to get there. These blessings just kind of came to me naturally.
Amen to that. Okay. If you were given an opportunity to collaborate with anyone, either locally or internationally, who would that be and why? Let's just replace that with that question. Thank goodness I wrote backup questions.
No worries. If I had the chance to collaborate with anyone in the world right now, I think it would definitely be Chapel Roan. She's gone nowhere but up and up and up in these past few months. And I think her songwriting, her lyricism, the way she incorporates drag into her visual aesthetic, and even, into her music and the way that she presents herself on stage, like her as an artist, as a performer, as a lyricist, it's just all so A plus plus top tier. And with both of us being sapphics and being women who love women who write music about loving other women, I feel like we would have a chance to, really vibe and, maybe even collaborate together. She's an artist I highly, highly respect, and I absolutely respect her grind as well because in the last year she has really blown up, but I remember watching her interviews and she said something like, I've been doing this music thing for a couple years now. And she even mentioned how she was about to give up, but she kept working and working and working for it, and finally, like, this thing that's happening with her being like one of the top artists right now, it's really paid off. The fruits of her labor, she's getting it all now, and rightfully deserved.
Yeah, she deserves it so much. Well, if we're like local Filipino artists, who would you like to collaborate?
I think that would have to be Reese Lansangan. Although I don't think she lives in the Philippines right now. Um, I think she's been living in Japan for maybe a year or two. I can't remember. But definitely her. And I know a lot of my listeners have made comparisons to my music and hers with the way that we're both in that kind of like indie pop and indie folk space that's very acoustic and raw and pretty emotional. Yeah.
Oh, great. I hope we can hear a collaboration with them anytime soon. So besides the new EP, which for those who are wondering, I in the let's just put in a new EP. Let's just put it at that. What should we expect from you in the near future?
I am so excited for this new record, and I'm just hoping that I can give everything that I couldn't give, in the last release. I'm hoping more merch, music videos, a lot of like elevated visuals and promos and photo shoots and like just the works. And in terms of the music, I've improved so much from the time that I started at Berkeley to now that I've kind of completed my thesis and I've defended it. Um, I've just improved so much in a lot of aspects. And I feel like, I've always kind of described myself as a songwriter, or I put myself in that box. But with this upcoming release, I feel like I've also established myself as a producer and as a mixer, and I'm really taking risks, in the sense that there are things in this record that I haven't done before. For example, programming drums was always something that was intimidating for me, or like doing, electronic synths and sound design. That was something I never really did in my previous releases. And here, I'm trying to give something that is just an elevated version of me. That's, it's all still me, but just even better, and kind of more of a reflection of my higher self, if you will.
Yeah, hope we can look forward to that. Anyways, wow, what a long conversation we have. That's all I can say right now. It was so much fun talking to you, and we learned a lot from having New York, from moving from the Philippines to New York, and I hope you will not, the listeners will not sleep on you. That's all I can say.
Thank you.
New York City that never sleeps. I hope they won't sleep here in the Philippines. Just like your songs is over, like you reached already. I hope you will come to the point where you'll become one of the most successful queer artists in this generation.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for joining us in this interview, and I hope one day we will see you in the flesh. I hope.
Yes, of course. Would love to meet you too.
Yes, we will definitely see you very soon. And I just wanted to ask before we sign you off, do you have any socials you want to promote? Any social media accounts you want to promote?
Sure, thank you for asking. So basically, I'm everywhere on X, Instagram, and Facebook at Fairy Fun Flea. I'm also on streaming platforms, Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube, wherever you get your music, at Pixie Labrador. Or you can also just search Pixie Labrador and I'll probably show up.
Yes, unless it's because personalized search and all that. And can you explain to us before we sign off? We're gonna edit the part out. Okay, no, never mind. We can't do that. We'll edit that part out. But we'll just say very interesting name, username, I must say. We can explain it to off air, okay?
Sure.
All
Uh,
right.
yeah.
All right. Thank you very much, Pixie Labrador, for joining us today. I hope you will share some light to all the LGBTQIA plus community, even though we are a little late to the party now. Maybe sa June na.
Yes. Thank you so much for having me. It was a pleasure talking to you.
Thank you very much. I hope we'll get to see you in the flesh and enjoying the New York pizza over there.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Pixie Labrador, for joining us today. Next week on CETV Exclusives, we're going P-pop again. We have another P-pop group that will join us. I'm not going to mention who it is. It's not what you think right now, who it is. Let's just put it at that. But right now, it's a brand new P-pop group, and I'm sure you're going to enjoy them. In the meantime, my name is Don Banana, and we'll see you next week on CGB Exclusive. Have a good morning to you wherever you may be, and we'll see you next week. Bye-bye!